Okay, this is called Scientific American, and they're printing something
because someone enters the cesspool that is social media and then participates in that exchange. So
why can't you
let's
just
talk about science?
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
Piers Morgan of Piers Morgan Uncensored had guest Neil deGrasse Tyson. You all know the one famous astrophysicist, where they talk about litany of issues, including on Musk and especially on trans rights issue. And we have here with Piers Morgan and deGrasse Tyson talking about how they're like the trans issue and everything. They're debating on it and everything. Of course, they have disagreements on it. Whereas Piers Morgan is stating that it's impossible to defend trans rights in America or in anywhere in general. Whereas Tyson disagrees. And you all know that Tyson appeared on Bill Maher's show, where he defended trans rights and stuff. And it's surprising because of the fact that the matter is he's an astrophysicist. Yet then again, a lot of astrophysicists may have like some viewpoints with biology and stuff, but they are often incorrect. So Piers Morgan is actually destroying, Neil Tyson here about the trans rights issues and stuff, talking about, using logic, whereas Tyson introduced with science, but at the same time is often been proven wrong and everything. So here we are. We have Piers Morgan with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where they talk about trans rights issues. If you enjoy sharing this channel from Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored, be sure to go ahead, smash the like button, and share the video far wide across social media, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, click bell notifications, so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. And also be sure to look out for future videos as well. So here's a discussion with Piers Morgan and Tyson on trans rights issues.
Brings me neatly, actually, to another part of that Bill Maher interview, which I really enjoyed. Love watching you on Bill Maher. But you had a little disagreement about this very hot potato issue about the science of trans athletes in women's sport. Let's take a look.
Engage with the idea here. What I'm asking is, Scientific American is saying basically that the reason why an WNBA team can't beat the Lakers is because of societal bias.
What you're saying is not Scientific American says that. An editor for Scientific American says that, who no longer has the job. So don't indict a 170-year-old magazine because somebody...
Okay, this is called Scientific American, and they're printing something
because someone enters the cesspool that is social media and then participates in that exchange. So
why can't you
let's talk about science?
Why can't you just say this is not scientific and Scientific American should do better?
So I have been on this issue for a long time, and I am surprised, given your earlier statement just now about the importance that we have a fact-based society where science is based on reality and everything else. Is there not? I would put it to you, Neil. There is a cold, hard reality about this whole trans issue, which is that I'm sure like you, I absolutely want all trans people to have utter equality and fairness in the way that I do and you do. Absolutely. I've never said anything different. However, not to the point where it erodes women's rights to fairness and equality. And there is clearly a growing unfairness and inequality from the issue of people who are born biologically male, identifying as women and being allowed to compete against biological females, and then beginning increasingly to be quite dominant, to the extent where we saw people winning in the boxing in the Paris Olympics. We've seen the Footballer of the Year, Women's Footballer of the Year in the UK, voted by the BBC, Barbara Banda from Zambia, also has been banned for sex-related issues in terms of not being allowed to compete in previous tournaments, and so on and so on. The UN just had a big report which said that 900 medals around the world in competitive sport had been deprived from female athletes because trans athletes had won. So I put it to you that you're a scientist. It is clearly an indisputable scientific fact that biological males have a superior power and stamina and lung power and all these other things to biological females, because if they didn't, we would never separate the sexes in sport. The Olympics would be gender neutral, and they're not for a reason. Women wouldn't win anything. So when I hear you try and justify it or say that there's a scientific, and maybe there's not, maybe I'm misquoting you here, but there's some kind of scientific reason why it's fine, I'm like, hang on, Neil, you're Mr. Reality Check. You're Mr. Cold Hard Fact. Surely you can see that this is wrong without it actually having to be transphobic to say that.
Well, so you have me here live on your show. We don't have to comment on other shows. So let's just have this conversation.
Yeah.
So I did my own study of the relative speed of men relative to women in Olympic sports, the world records, from the 100 meters to the 200 meters, the 400, right on up to the marathon. And what I noticed is in every event, on average, men were 10% faster than women, 10% faster. And in events that require strength, that percent was even higher. I forgot what my exact number, it might have been 50% stronger, okay? So across the board, that is the case. So that's not, there's no dispute there. That's
right.
Just objective truth. So now we have to ask, why do we watch sports at all, okay? And at Friday Night Lights, that's in the United States, that's high school football. Saturday, it's college football. Sunday, it's the NFL. Do you realize, of course, that the worst team ever in the NFL could wipe its ass with the best team ever in college? Why? Because every single player in the NFL was the best person in their college. And so there's no contest between these zones of athletic engagement. But we still like watching college. We don't watch college and say, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles could whip their ass, so let's not watch it. No, we like the equality of the contest and not knowing who would win. That's what makes sports fun. Okay, so if there's a wave of trans women who dominate the sport against other women, all those sports will become less interesting based on how we all watch sports. Even the Super Bowl here in the United States, if it's a blowout by halftime, nobody watches the second half.
Right.
We watch it for the equality of the contest. Okay, so
sounds like you agree
all
with me
I'm saying is, like you said, wait, I'm almost done. So what I see is sports is on the frontier of how to handle this frontier of people who are trans. It's on the frontier of how to resolve that. And I'm making this up now. Imagine the future of sports does not distinguish sex. It distinguishes and sorts people by hormone ratios. I'm making this up, but imagine that if that were the case. That would be interesting. You get a hormone test, you're in this range, and then you compete against other people with the same range of hormones.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Neil, that is ridiculous.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why it's
You're
not ridiculous.
You're going to give every
Hold on.
single
I used to
person in
wrestle.
sport a hormone test.
Hold on. I used to wrestle. And wrestling, there are people who weigh, sorry, am I using pounds here, 125 pounds, right on up to 240 pounds. They don't wrestle each other. The entire sport separates people so that the contest is interesting.
Yeah.
And so the people of the same weight wrestle each other, and that is the contest.
But if Floyd Mayweather...
I don't know if that's how it will land.
Hang on, Neil. If Floyd Mayweather fought a woman boxer, a female woman boxer, who was the same weight division, he would annihilate her. That's why we don't let it happen. And in fact, in the Paris Olympics, the winner of one of the women's boxing competitions, one of the
Piers,
females
that's not
who
what I was
took her
talking
on.
about.
But my point is that I just think that, if you don't mind me saying, I say this respectfully because I love you, but it just seems to me like you've dug yourself into a slight hole on this issue, and you're trying to get out of it. Now you're suggesting slightly madcap theories, whereas the science to me is obvious. You've already given the best argument I've heard for why we separate the sexes.
Okay, so Neil's point is where he's comparing the weight categories and stuff rather than the biological differences and the sexes between man and woman, where even those who are transgendered and everything, they're actually still able to demolish, as Piers Morgan just told Neil, the women in these different sports. I mean, whether it be fighting, racing, or even like basketball and stuff, they would tear women, like biological women, up. And the fact of the matter is, Neil is actually using a nonsensical, argument comparing, the weight classes between two different people and stuff of the same sex in the same sport, where they say it's going to be boring. Okay. I'd rather watch something boring than watch something mortifying with the trans woman beating the living breaks out of a woman and everything, to the point where the woman has a broken eye socket. Okay. And the fact of the matter is that, Piers Morgan, he's actually doing a good job pushing back against Tyson's point about this, because for one, Tyson is just stating that if it was just the same sport with the same sex and all that, it will be, and it's a blowout, it'll be boring and no one will be interested in watching it. Well, the thing is that no one will also want to watch a woman getting annihilated and stuff. And also, there's no equality in that particular sport when a transgender woman is outdoing a biological woman because of the differences and stuff. And I didn't even hear him make any arguments for, like estrogen differences, estrogen levels, and so on and so forth. But it's just his argument is nonsensical, and Piers Morgan is absolutely in the right on this.
Hold on. You misquoted me in this very interview. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No,
because
it is.
the only
It
reason
is.
why you
I'm
do
gonna
this
respond.
is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on, hold on.
You're
you
wrong.
said Floyd Mayweather.
You're not
fighting
allowing for the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example. Caitlyn Jenner, who obviously, hang on, I'm going to finish my point. Let me finish my point. Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic male decathlon gold medal winner. Caitlyn is a big golf fan. And when she started playing golf after she transitioned, she was allowed to play off the women's tees, which are 50 yards further than the men's tees. And she quickly realized that she was still smashing it 300 yards down, and obviously was then beating all the women that she played. So she now plays back off the male tees because her biology is that of a man. And I feel that was the most honest way to deal with it. I also feel that if you want to have a separate category, have a trans category, or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology.
That's what I've been saying. Piers Morgan just made a point that what I've been talking about before I even started this channel, okay? And also, it's amazing that Piers Morgan is using more scientific evidence and stuff and scientific facts than Tyson is, than Neil is and everything. And it's crazy because of the fact that I haven't heard a scientific argument from Tyson and everything, yet Piers Morgan here is using more scientific arguments and stuff and facts than Tyson is. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is supposed to be the scientist here. Now that's crazy and ironic. You're going to have someone in the media to go ahead and tell you and use science against your argument to prove how your argument is flawed and everything. And I'll be honest, I've been saying it before, they should have a transgender category and everything. And it's like, that'll be real interesting to watch. But at the same time, I mean, there's going to be people on the left claiming that, that's going to be, that's a big sign of inequality and it's discrimination. But the thing is that having them to compete against biological women, that's unequal, and that's definitely discrimination right there.
Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
I don't have a solution. What I started this section of the conversation by saying that how you handle trans athletes is a frontier in sports that does not yet have a full solution. And I made up an example, like maybe you could divide people by hormones. I don't know if that would work physiologically, but at the end of the day, we watch sporting events because they are competitively interesting. And so something's going to have to get resolved there, and I don't have that solution.
I do.
I do.
And
I just tossed up hormones.
You have a trans category, or you have the trans women compete against biological men, which is what they are. And I completely respect trans rights.
That may be, that may be how it settles, but I don't know.
So Neil Tyson just said that they basically didn't perfect the sports or the having trans women in sports and everything. If that's the case, why do it in the first place? That shows you the kind of government that we're living under and everything that doesn't necessarily think things through. Okay, they listen to these different activists out here who have flawed points, where they go ahead and then basically enact upon this for control and based on emotion. And Piers Morgan, he was right about this, because the simple fact of the matter is they should have just done more studies on estrogen levels and stuff, as well as, putting like better categories out there where it's trans women versus biological men. I mean, think about it. I mean, since they see trans women as women and everything, wouldn't it be interesting to see a woman compete against a man and possibly even beat that man, that biological male? You never know. But that's something that they probably didn't even think about and stuff.
But I'm telling you, it's a frontier without a current solution that everybody agrees to. That's all I'm telling you. And I started this by affirming, yes, men are faster and stronger than the average man is stronger and faster. Too. World-class men are faster and stronger than world-class women. Obviously, there's huge overlap when you come down the rest of the distribution.
The truth is,
but
if you had a gender-neutral Olympics, how many women, biological female women, would win gold medals if it was open to men and women? The answer is literally like they might win one or two.
I'm trying to stay above. You're creating this world that makes great clickbait.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not.
People to see comment on.
No. I honestly,
yes,
I'm throwing back at you the thing you throw back at other people, which is science. I'm telling you that it's the scientific reality, unless you say otherwise, and I don't think you do, because you've already explained that men have a superior speed and power.
I'm not saying otherwise. I started this.
The science is clear.
I started this by saying it.
But the science is clear, isn't it?
And I'm saying the solution isn't clear.
Y'all just heard Neil Tyson just study at the end on that. Neil Tyson doesn't have an argument against Piers Morgan to go ahead and prove that Piers Morgan is incorrect, when Piers Morgan is actually factually correct. Piers Morgan actually used science against a scientist, where a scientist didn't even use a scientific argument against a journalist. And that is crazy. And that Piers Morgan actually outdid Neil deGrasse Tyson in the area of science and everything. Granted, it's not his specialty of the field and everything, but at the same time, he's the one that argued against Bill Maher on it. He's the one that has to answer for it still and continue to defend those points.
Even if the science is. And so that's all. We can debate what could work. I think the world has to figure it out, and maybe they'll figure it out one day. And maybe it is hormone ratios. I don't know. But if it is hormone ratios and we don't compete sexes, we compete by hormones, that's a whole other interesting future of athletics. By the way, every Olympics, I pause and think to myself, which of these events can and should not be separated by sex?
There
are some already that are the case. And the equestrian. The equestrian does not separate men from women.
Equestrian and shooting, I think, also is another one where if they're sitting and shooting, there's no
reason.
I
didn't know. Yeah. So I just figured there's some that would be the case. And we can start there and just work our way up.
I tell you, Piers Morgan won this debate. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what we shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, and share the video for our wide cross social media. And if you haven't done so already, enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications. So that way, you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.